You have major stars that you've heard about in the news and you've seen on television and film. They truly are Satan worshipers. They truly have not only sold their soul to Satan, but they've merged their soul to the satanic rituals that you find in Hollywood. Nowadays, the younger actors, it's almost like they're soulless. It's almost like they have no spirit. I look into their eyes and I don't see anybody. This is David Heavener, and you're watching End Times Productions. Do actors really sell their soul for fame? Okay, that's a two-part question. First of all, most actors that go to Hollywood sell their soul because they want to be famous. Okay, now what does that mean, to sell your soul? It means to compromise. It means to side with evil because you're not siding with God. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a lot of actors in Hollywood that call themselves Christians, and some of them are, okay? But in order to adhere, to conform to the rules of, quote, Hollywood, you're going to not side with God, and you're going to automatically side with the devil, because that's the system in which that Hollywood operates. Now, that's one side of it. So that basically everybody sells their soul when they go to Hollywood because they want to be loved. It's a very carnal business, okay? The other side gets a little deeper. It gets a little more complex, okay? You have major stars that you've heard about in the news and you've seen on television and film. They truly are Satan worshipers. They truly have not only sold their soul to Satan, but they've merged their soul to the satanic rituals that you find in Hollywood. And by the way, satanic rituals they have all across the country and the world. So two parts. One is everyone sells their soul if they're not on the side of God. The other one is the other avenue is not only do these people sell their soul, they merge their soul to the devil himself and participate in the satanic ritual abuse. Is there any truth to program multiples in Hollywood? The answer is absolutely. Why is that? Because there's program multiples everywhere, okay? In churches, in Hollywood, in Middle America, they're everywhere. Now, the agenda of a program multiple, it's not a program multiple's agenda, it's the person who programmed them, which is usually involved in the satanic church, is to further the devil's cause, okay? Now, the reason that program multiples exist in Hollywood is because the camera is a very powerful tool that if you can get it on camera, it goes out to millions of people and they can see it. So the answer is yes, of course there's program multiples in Hollywood. It's a system that's owned by Satan, so actually is it not okay? To them it's a very good thing to disrespect Jesus. The second part of that is, why is it okay to glorify Muhammad and Buddha and all these other, quote, gods or Christ-like figures, and yet do not adhere to the teachings of Christ and do not follow the living God? Well, because it's a system owned by Satan. Satan doesn't want us to know the truth. The only truth is Jesus Christ. I am the truth. I am the way. I'm the only way to the Father, the only living God. So Hollywood's going to say, sure, go after Buddha. Sure, go after Muhammad. Sure, do all that other stuff, because it all goes back to the pits of hell. The only road to heaven is Jesus. The Hollywood agenda. The number one agenda is to get as many people to continue on the road to hell as possible. Now, the second agenda, and I'm not going to call this agenda, I'm going to call it a tactic to send everyone to hell, is to destroy the family. If Hollywood can get to the family, which they've done very successfully, you take out the father, which they've done, then you start working on the children, and then you got a big mess. And so they've destroyed the family the past 20, 30, 40 years in Hollywood. The final blow is going to be to get to the children. And if you look at places like Disney, Nickelodeon, even Netflix, they're definitely getting to the minds of children. The reason is because they're hitting young minds, and they want young minds to believe this is the way life is. And if this is the way life is, it's probably the way God wants it by design. And so that's what, it's like if you have a film where everybody's cussing, where everybody's smoking dope, you grow up thinking this is what people do, and this is acceptable, and this is, it's all about numbing down and dumbing down the young generation so that when they grow up, they do not have the tools to discern. Now, because we have the mind of Christ, that once you accept Christ, you become, bam, a new creature. The mind of Christ is there, it's enhanced, and then you can see. Hollywood discriminates against true Christians, okay? Not the counterfeit and religious Christians, which is most of the Christians in Hollywood, okay? They don't discriminate against the fake religion, because the fake religion actually helps promote the devil's agenda. Who they do discriminate against are the people that are telling the truth. But let me say something to you, and I say it humbly. They can't discriminate against the true child of God, because the true child of God has the power of God in them. So what happens in Hollywood, I've seen Satan run in fear of the true child of God, okay? So forget about them discriminating. They're scared to death. Doesn't mean they wouldn't want to take you out. So discrimination, I don't believe, really comes with people that actually tell the truth. Yeah, the difference between old Hollywood and, quote, the new Hollywood is that the old Hollywood, like guys I worked with, like Martin Landau and Tony Curtis and some of these guys, they still had a consciousness and a respect for faith. They were still tapped into the Judeo-Christian system. Okay? There was a lot of movies that came out during their times, Ben-Hur, the Ten Commandments, still was about the Jews, what the Jews went through. The Old Testament. Nowadays, the younger actors, they don't have a clue about that. It's almost like they're soulless. It's almost like they have no spirit. I look into their eyes and I don't see anybody. Nobody's home. Why is that? Because through the generations, the young people, the young actors, have been fed counterfeit. They've been fed lies, and so they don't even know what the truth is. So they're walking around almost like zombies. To me, that's the difference between the old Hollywood and the new Hollywood.